Jenny Fischer, and I'm joined now by Anya Covington, who just wrapped up her time as an assistant coach at UW-Milwaukee. And before we get into it, walk me through your journey, not only as a coach, but as a person, where you grew up, some stops along the way in your playing and coaching career, basketball-wise, and then where you're at now.
All right, well, I come from a legacy of hard workers. I come from a legacy of innovators and entrepreneurs. So that's where I come from. I was born right here on this soil in America to Martin Lee Covington III, 101st Airborne Ranger. He served in the Army for 16 years. And then my mom, Arlene Covington, who's just Hall of Fame basketball player, a warrior, but really just someone I want to emulate. She's amazing. Like I said, I've been married for 33 years. With my dad being in the military, I've lived all over the place. So I've had the unique opportunity of growing up with what I would say true diversity in terms of I've lived in the North, the South, the East, the West, the country, close to the city, everywhere. And I've been around people that look completely different than me, look the same, but with a ton of different perspectives, which has been really cool. I'm one of four. I'm the second oldest, but the oldest daughter. So, daddy's girl, of course, but I am my mother's daughter. And I claim Clarksville, Tennessee, because that's where I was born, and we moved back there. And in my first 18 years, that's where I had lived the longest, okay? Some of my family members would argue with that. And my mom's a Hall of Fame basketball player. My dad has an accurate bullet shot, but I didn't really enjoy the game until 7th grade. Didn't really start playing until 7th grade. I would have to give credit to my older brother. He paved the way for me, worked extremely hard, was playing all the time, but I didn't find it interesting. Until 7th grade when I was like 5'11", and the math teacher came out and said, "You're gonna play on the team." And I was like, well, okay, why not? Before that, I was into theater, which I still am. I write. I love church, gave my life to Christ when I was 10, praise the Lord. And I stand on that to this day. And yes, teaching other people how to read. I loved, being my siblings' teachers, my two younger ones. But then I picked up the ball. I was terrible at it, very bad. Okay. My 7th grade year, I averaged 10 rebounds, and then about 4 of those was me rebounding my own missed layups. It's very bad. But again, I got to see the hard work of my older brother, what it took to be great. So I flipped the verdict by my 8th grade year. And to say the rest is history is kind of cliche, but I'm grateful that I picked it up later in life. So I'm not burnt out to this day, not of the game at all. The Lord allowed me to grow a few more inches, 6'2", dominated in high school for the most part, went to college, played for the University of Wisconsin, Madison, go Badgers. We were successful, went to the NCAA tournament, had 3 seasons where we either tied for 3rd or in the top 5. And then I played professionally for a year overseas, broke my foot, but I had been coaching along the way. So I coached AAU when I was in college. And then overseas, I coached 2 younger teams. And then I also was able to coach the team after I broke my foot, coach the team that I played on. And then Coach Kathy Bennett gave me the opportunity to be a GA at Northern Illinois. And that's where it all began in terms of the college ranks. And in between there, I played professionally in the States for the Milwaukee Aces, which is a professional team. There is a league for women underneath the WNBA. And we need to go ahead and get that coined as the G League for the women. There is my 2 cents. Because there's some really good players, and there's not enough teams in WNBA. And I'm not saying I'm one of them. I had the ability to play that need that chance to be seen by scouts and have the ability to play in the States. So Milwaukee Aces is the 2nd professional team in the state of Wisconsin outside of the Milwaukee Does that were started in 1978. And the Milwaukee Aces were alive for 5 years. I played on it for 2, and I coached it this last season. And then I've been at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee for the past 4 while doing the other stuff professionally, and it's been a blessing. Coach Kyle Recklicks gave me the opportunity. One of my good friends coached me my senior year at Wisconsin. She was an assistant, and she's 10 years older than me, and she's also a Badger, so that was cool. And since then, we've been working together, changing lives, and learning a lot from each other along the way.
It's quite the journey. And I mean, especially, I love what you said about the Aces, especially. I actually know Brunelle Hooker from being from the Milwaukee area, and she's been trying to get me out to an Aces game. I'm not in Milwaukee right now, but eventually, one day, it's got to happen.
Well, the Aces, as we know it, is over now. But hopefully someone picks it back up. Obviously, the Glow was a team that joined, so it would be the 3rd team. that's professional, just like the Milwaukee Aces that were playing where the Herd play.
Yep.
Had a really, really fantastic team of basically all Wisconsin alumni. Some of my teammates, Taylor Ward, Jolene Anderson, some of my players I got to coach, Stephanie Kosowicz, then Angela Rodriguez that played at Milwaukee. They were some of the stars on the team. Then basically everybody else was from Wisconsin. I think outside of Alex Cohen, that played at Northwestern, was from Illinois, but it was really cool to see.
Wow. Well, you had mentioned in last week's Women in Sports panel that you were stepping away from coaching. What went into that decision, and what was maybe the deciding factor?
Got you. A lot of prayer and a lot of thought. It's interesting because the way our society works is, you work your way up. Basketball wise, I was a GA, was an assistant. I've been in the Missouri Valley. I've been an assistant, one of the youngest ones to be an assistant in the Big Ten. And then I spent 4 years under a winning coach. So you would think the trajectory would be to become a head coach soon. And honestly, that's still on my list. But I'm gonna speak to something. Some people may agree, some people may not, but I'm gonna just speak my truth. I believe that collegiate basketball has gone towards inhumane in regards to people's time. I feel like the culture has turned into, if you're not in the office all the time, if you're not working all the time, then you're not doing a great job. Let me give you an example. When I played at Wisconsin, our coaches didn't have the ability to be hands-on with us in the summer. So for 3 months, me and my teammates had the ability to change who we were. We had the opportunity to reinvent ourselves, with the opportunity to get to know each other on a deeper level. Leadership naturally emerged. When the coaches came back, they didn't have to tell Raylan D'Elia where I wanted to catch the ball. They didn't have to, because we had played so much together. We played 5 days a week. And oftentimes in those days, multiple times, maybe not the whole team, but at least one time with the whole team, and then other people that just loved the game and wanted to play, we did that. We got to struggle together. We got to get up at 6 a.m. conditioning with Ray Edie, and push through that without, the coaches being there and any added pressure. So what it built was accountability and ownership. So we got to basically decide in that summer who we wanted to be going into the season. So I felt like our coaches just had to step in and coach. We're now, I feel like we have our players all year round. There's this pressure. We get to this idea where they don't have IQ, but in my opinion, they have IQ or they wouldn't be playing at the collegiate level. But the fact that we are just like, and I'm not saying everyone does it. I'm just saying it seems to be the culture. And I believe that, the systems I've been in, we participated in that culture where everything, we're here 24/7. You don't have that break as people. I feel like divorce rates have gone up. And the only thing I've seen positive of all of this contact for 10 months is injuries and burnout. And that's my plug. I hope that if there's some people that believe in that, we stand on that and we go forward. But coaches need a break and players need a break. We need an opportunity to miss each other. You know what I'm saying? In a relationship, okay, you miss each other. Now you come, it's just, it reminds you of the love that's between you. And then you're able to work on some things. You're able to communicate in a different way, which I think the pandemic has shown us. Not the lives lost, not the people losing their jobs, not the negative points of this, but if there was any silver lining of this time where the whole world has had to take a step back, is I think we see that we need communication. We need breaks. We need to rest and rejuvenate properly. We need to be with our families, be present in the moment. Not still worried about what recruit is calling us and this or that. Basketball is not going to change if you don't talk to that recruit today. Obviously, there's a time and a place. Do your job. But I just feel like, especially at the Division-1 level, college basketball, we're making it a rat race. And in my opinion, I just got 30 under 30 last year. Thank you, Coach Rex, for putting me up for that. And I know now it's 6 of us that are stepping away from the game to find more balance. My health was deteriorating. I was in a ton of health issues. And I know, my mind, I can do all things, okay? Through Christ for sure, but I also always been strong. I haven't been the past 2 years. Health has weakened. And again, these are my choices. Overworking, not taking care of myself, falling into the culture, which is on me. And I'm not doing that anymore. That's part of the reason why I'm stepping away. And the other reason I just feel like God's called me to a season of rest, but also a season to level up. to get my mind, my thoughts together, what it is he's calling me to do, to speak up and speak out the way I've had the opportunities to do recently, without worrying about, and I've always been taught, because being a Black woman in this country, there's stigmas that come along with it. When I was younger, you need to straighten your hair. You need to look a certain way so you get the job, so you can be there. I walk into the room 6'2" and Black, oftentimes that could equate to intimidation. And I'm kind. Oh, yeah, I got an opinion and I'm going to share it. That doesn't automatically make me a weapon or intimidating or fall to some of these cliches. So I've learned how to make myself approachable, which I have a great personality, in my opinion, but to have to always think about that and always do these things, it gets to a point where it wears you out. So right now, I want to focus in on the next level that God's called me to in all aspects of my life, not just in coaching, because I feel like all of it is encompassing. And if you're only pouring into one area, you're not fully growing. So that's why I'm taking, long story short, honey, you see, I got a lot of words.
Okay.
That's why I'm taking a step back.
No, and I'm sure, yeah, a lot of coaches can relate to that, I'm sure. And a lot of people in that industry, like you mentioned, the rat race all the time, and how it can, put some things on the back burner that maybe don't deserve to be on the back burner. And you talked about, that wear and tear. As far as what's going on in our world right now, the racial injustice, the hatred, everything, that it just feels heavy for a lot of people in a lot of different ways. How have you been coping, and what's been helping you to mentally ensure that you're ready to face, whatever may be ahead?
Okay, well, this time in life, that's every day for me. I have uncles, I got cousins, I got women also in my life that have lost their life to police brutality, that has lost their life to the systematic demise that this country was built upon. This country was not found, it was captured. There were people here before any Spaniards crossed the ocean. And honestly, the fact that our history books don't speak truth is an issue. And we're teaching our youth the myth that they're going to soon find out. I'm going to put it to you like this. Believing a lie is exhausting once you realize the truth. Knowing the truth and hearing lies all your life is exhausting as well. So I'm the latter. I know my history in terms of my family. I know the truth. I know that my great-great-grandmother was a slave, in this country. I know that my parents had to work extremely hard. We have got to be twice as good to be in the room. And I know that every room that I've walked into, I've been qualified for. Number one, God's given me the favor. Number two, I'm working my butt off because that's what I know. That's my legacy. But this is every day. This is us fighting for justice every day. Now, in my opinion, the majority has finally taken notice. It has finally met something to the majority, because you've seen it. This is not oh, wow, this is the first time it's happened. No, this is the first time you probably thought that the young man was innocent or that he actually was wrongly killed. But this stuff happens all the time, every single day. Been fighting for this all of my life. When I was in kindergarten in Alaska, I got jumped for being Black on the playground. Like, this is not a thing. I was called out of my name. The N-word was used to announce who I was. I had 2 female white teachers that stood there and watched. This ain't new. This was back in 1995. So for me, the fact that we're still fighting for basic equality rights, it's an issue in itself. There is hope. My hope comes from Jesus. My hope comes from the fact that God sent his son down here over 2,000 years ago, unbiasedly, to set us all free. And he created each and every human in his image. So that's where my hope comes from. So I know where my worth is. It's not based upon a system that was created to keep people like me down. And when I say people like me, the color of my skin is defined by the majority and the superiority of this country. It just is what it is. But again, I know my worth. I know I will be at the table. I know that I will speak up for injustice and I will fight for it. I've been doing it for 30 years and I'm 30. So for me, this is a time of forgiveness and healing with my own family. This is a time, every day I feel like I'm educating, which I'm happy to do most days. Some days it gets exhausting because the fact that you keep asking me what's next, I'm going to pose this question back to anyone that's still asking that question. What would you do if it was your son, daughter, uncle, mother, brother, grandmother, cousin, what would you do? And I asked that question for a reason, because we're humans, you guys. Like, we're literally humans, like each and every one of us. Like, if we took away our skin color, we would be looking at the similar colored blood and similar colored organs. Like, the fact that we have classified people by a color spectrum, in my opinion, is very immature. It is like the most immature system I have ever heard of in my life. And we have literally killed people based off a color spectrum. People haven't been able to get jobs and afford the opportunity to get the same type of loans because of a color spectrum. It's not because of a color spectrum, it's because of hatred, if we put it where it is. Like, I like to move that word racism, and the real term is hatred. We're deciding to, and I do believe that hatred first starts within. It's hard for me to hate you if I don't have hatred in my own heart for myself. But that's my spiel. Thank you that God is love. And I do believe that love is the answer. But with that being said, educating at this time, and then just sharing my story and my journey and pointing people back to love. Yes, you have to acknowledge the atrocities that are happening in this world. You have to, or you can't love me. If you cannot see that there are things stacked against me, then you actually cannot love me where I'm at. So for those who are just like, well, let's just walk in love. Let's just forget about it. You can't forget about it, because every single day I got stabs happening in my back. I got obstacles that are extremely higher than yours in the front. All right. I got waves just crashing in from the side on things that I can or cannot do. So you can't ignore it until we acknowledge it, right, as a people, that there's an issue, because people create the system so people can recreate a new system. Then we actually cannot walk in love. Acknowledgement is first. And then we can move into the forgiving part, and then we can move into the solution part. But if you can acknowledge it and be like, listen, that's terrible. This is horrendous. And please don't apologize on behalf of the white race, because you can't do that. You can only look internally. The same way I can only, if I hurt you, or if I feel like I see something that hurts you, I can only apologize from my perspective. If I saw my sister stub her toe, I can't apologize on behalf of all the carpenters that made a bed. All I can say, yo, I know that hurts. I'm so sorry. Are you good? How can I help you? How can I be here for you? Want me to get you some ice? Sit down. I'll get, what can I do? I will sit with you until you don't feel the pain in your foot anymore. But maybe that's too basic of an example. But I just feel like I'm having this conversation all the time, so I'm trying to get some basic examples. So it's applicable, but that's what I'm doing during this time. Speaking up, still trying to walk the way that God's called me to, and be the change that I seek, because I think it's first. Rid my heart of any hatred myself, if I have any. And be available to people. So that's it.
Even you saying, like, this is still like ringing true to me. Like, you just said that you're 30 years old and you've been fighting this fight for 30 years. Like, to think about that perspective, like, as everyone has said before, but I know I can't understand, but that just, from hearing your perspective, I just hope you know that what you're doing matters. And especially, like, just even talking about this is something that's resonating with me, even if not on the same level of understanding. So I saw that you had spoken in your hometown of Edwardsville, Indiana, at a Black Lives Matter protest. What was your message at that rally?
Got you. It was really cool to go back to Edwardsville, Illinois, and to, first of all, see the town actually rallying behind a cause that wasn't based on the majority. It was really cool to see a diverse group of people outside with signs there for the same cause. Like, it was profound, in my opinion. I was going to the protest. I heard they had one the week before. I was so proud. Like, I was so encouraged for many reasons. And so I got there, and an awesome young lady put it on because she has a son that's of mixed race. But it's crazy because I just want to keep educating. Like, there was a 1 drop rule made in slavery during the slavery days. Like, if you have 1 drop of black, you're black. That still holds true today. We don't see biracial people as biracial. We don't see them as both halves. Literally, the 1 drop rule stands today. I just want to let that sit. So this awesome young lady, she's Caucasian, and her son is mixed, and she's fearful for his life. She wants things to change. So she started the protest. Me and my sister just showed up. But the stage was open, and so I had the opportunities in Milwaukee, because I think Milwaukee is doing an excellent job especially with the peaceful protests, the prayer protests, the marches, down to the courthouse, having conversations with police officers. Yes, of course, there's some people with justified anger. Again, this has been going on for over 400 years. So this is not just people all of a sudden burning down businesses. And I also want us to think about the process of grief. Oftentimes, when you have been unheard and injustice is happening and you're going through your process of grief, you're not always thinking clearly. So, yep, there are people burning down their own people's businesses at times, not always. But if that's the focus of this conversation, then you're not walking in love. I just want to be clear on that. If you can't see why people are mad, if you can't see why people are deciding to display their anger right now, and I don't agree with burning down business. I want to be clear on that. But they're trying to get the attention of the people that are making the policy, that have the ability to make the change. So let's focus on the issue. Sworn officers should not be killing anybody for no cause. And it's an epidemic in this country that people with power utilize that power to take out people that they hate. And historically, it's been white people taking out Black people. Let's go back to slavery. Let's go back to Jim Crow. Let's go back to George Floyd. So with all that being said, I do, again, 2 claps for Milwaukee. Keep it up. Keep the protests up. I even want to acknowledge back in 1967, the longest youth protest in the nation was held right here in Milwaukee, 200 days straight, by the Youth Council of the NAACP. Those young men and women did an excellent job. They were fighting for fair housing practices, and they got it. It actually still isn't quite fair, but at least in the law now in Milwaukee, you can't legally not allow someone to rent a house or buy a house. There's still unfair practices outside the law. I got to see some of it as I was looking for houses, and I'm very proud of my real estate agent, Monique Simmons. Thank you for being fair. I absolutely appreciate you. But with that being said, it was cool to go down to Edwardsville and be a part of the second one. And since I had the ability to be a part of some in Milwaukee, I knew what to do. I was prepared for such a time as this. I got to get up there and spread a message of hope while still putting it where it is. We have an unjust system, and people built the system, so people, let's recreate it. There's hope in God. We got to come together, pray, love, and actually love each other. Get to know me, not just because you think this is what you should do during this time because I'm Black. Well, let me get to know a Black person. Nah, get to know me because I'm a human. And I'm going to get to know you because you're a human. And I bet you this world will be a better place. And then just sticking to the idea that until I change my heart, change won't happen. So it's not about them and they. It's about me and you and I and us. We change, we'll see the change that we seek. And that was the message. A lot of people got to get up and give their testimonies. I gave mine. I have experienced police brutality. So did my brother. But a lot of people got up there and said very, very similar stories. So you know that this is not something that we made up. It is something that we go through every single day. And I'm really proud of the people that are gathering together, all people that are gathering together for this change.
Yeah. And like you said, it's you and I, it's us, it's these personal narratives that become the social change. I feel like once people know that, like you said, it's a human level. And like I said, you're just speaking so much truth right now. Like it's just, so my last question for you, and I know that you're stepping away from coaching right now, but we're talking about leadership, right? In general, when it boils down to it. So why is leadership so important at this point, especially in women's college basketball, and especially the voices, not only of Black coaches, but Black female coaches?
This is like my cause right now. Like I absolutely love it. And it's a piece of where I'm stepping away too, so I can get my bearings and be a part of the change as well. Like we already established, I know people know this, but I just want to show how this infiltrates all that we do. So our country was built on this racist system, and inherently we all have our biases. We all have prejudice. We all have stereotypes. So we all participate in that, and there's some form of hatred, you guys. When you break it down, you don't like me because of something somebody else told you. You don't know me. And I believe that if you're not walking in love, then you're walking in hate. I don't like playing with the 50 Shades of Grey because then we allow ourselves to have excuses. Well, it's not that I don't hate you. I don't hate you. I don't like you. But you don't know me. So you can't even say you don't like me. That's different. If you would have to know if you like me or don't like me if you know me. But if you're classifying me into something based off what you were taught, implicitly or explicitly, yeah, it's hatred. So, with that being said, if I grew up in a home where, you know, I'm not gonna use that example. I'm gonna put you like this. If I have implicit bias in my life, it's gonna show up in how I recruit. It's gonna show up in how I hire. It's gonna show up in how I refer to people when they say things that I don't like. It's gonna show up in how I work with people. And so as coaches, we have the ability every single day to impact lives, to offer opportunities, especially if you're at a college or a level that offers scholarships. So I'm gonna speak right now to just the conferences and the leagues and the level of basketball that have the ability to offer full scholarships to go play basketball. So if I have implicit bias, you know what I'm saying, I may not be inclined to recruit people that don't look like me. I may be uncomfortable. I may not see their value as valuable to me because I have implicit bias. So in essence, my subtle hatred is affecting opportunity for another people group, the youth. The youth. I say that first and foremost because I think it's important. That's why we have to look at our own hearts. Do I have implicit bias? And implicit, but I'm saying it like this for a reason. It's not like, oh, I just hate people. Maybe it could be subtle. It could just be, well, I lived somewhere where I didn't see many people of color. I wasn't around many Latin people, so I don't know if they can play basketball or not. Whatever it is, you can have that. But when we step into these roles as leaders, we have decided that we're going to serve all people. When you slap that name, coach, administrator, pastor, we can go down the line, politician, you have decided that you're going to serve all people with equity and with all that you have. And if that's not the case, then you don't deserve that title. And so I feel like as coaches on the women's basketball side, a lot of strategies in the game. I love the game. I love the game. You teach life through the game of basketball. It is phenomenal. But if you are not allowing certain people to experience that because of your implicit bias, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. And another wrong thing is this. If you recruit those type of people, but you don't have the love in your heart to coach them, you are going to affect them in a negative way. And you are wrong. These young people don't deserve the hatred that's within our own hearts. We need to handle that if we have it. We all have to I have to do it too every day. And do I have any bias towards anybody? We all can be inclined to have some favorites but we decided to coach all people, to lead all people, to make legislation and policies that positively affect the people. Not agendas, not schemes, not a certain group. Then you're mishandling your power and you're affecting those that don't have the power to change it, so to speak. And I don't believe that's love. I don't believe that's what God's called us to. I don't believe that's why God's given you the favor to be in the position that you're in. I think you're misusing your power when you have implicit bias and you have all these alternative, ideas and agendas. So we need to fix it. I think in the women's basketball game, we need to fix it. And it starts with personally looking at ourselves. I think we're not having conversations about race with our staffs. Then you could have people in your staff that have implicit bias, and it's going to show up in how they coach the players. The young people don't deserve it. If you can't change for yourself, if you don't think you have it, my charge is just to check anyway, just for the future of this country. Just check. Just do a heart check every day. I ask the Lord to search my heart every morning and pull out all things that aren't of him, all things that aren't pure. You know what I'm saying? If I'm mad at somebody for something, if I have bitterness, towards a coach or, towards my parents about something, that ain't good. Lord, let me rid of that. Let me do better. Let me forgive. This is not saying that this isn't a changeable thing. Y'all, it's so changeable. But it's imperative as leaders that we lead with love. And so with some of that being said, I did put on this t-shirt for a reason. Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask about it.
Okay, yeah, it's for a reason. So it says play bold, and it's really cool. I'm gonna call her my teammate. We could have played Notre Dame together, but we actually became a teammate in life. We actually were teammates. We went through Athletes in Action. We went to the Ukraine, played on the USA team back in 2012. and was there for 3 weeks doing missions work, painting and cleaning up the city because they had just kind of broken away from Russia about 20 years before that. And we played against all their national teams. And my girl Mel Diamico, she's amazing. Her and some other fabulous people put together this organization, and Play Bold is Beyond Ourselves, Love Does. And it's for coaches and it's for student athletes, and they're doing work right here in the States, but they're primarily going to other places and being the gospel, being love, being what God has called us to be, and spreading the good news that Jesus came and saved us, you guys. He died for our sins so we can all be in heaven together, all of us equally with no bias. It's like, I can't wait to see what heaven's gonna look like, because it's gonna be so mixed up. It's gonna be beautiful, right? And there's so much beauty and diversity. And I love what Play Bold stands for. Look it up. I mean, literally, I think it's playbold.com or .org. I'm sorry, I should have knew exactly what it was before, hyping it up. But I love it. I got to go to Kenya, which is now my second home, with this group, and we gave and we served. And what was funny is we received more than we could ever give. Really mixed group. But I'm just trying to give a solution to some things that you could do to get outside of ourselves, to give to others, to be the change that we seek. I think it's important. Some other solutions, does your athletic department have platforms for the staff to have brave spaces to talk about their experiences, racially, socially, and do your student athletes? Is there something for student athletes to go and have a space where, listen, this is what I go through on a day-to-day basis. And now guess what? We're sharing stories, and it's making us better. It's growing us as people. I can't grow being in the room with like-minded people all the time. I'm just becoming more stuck in my ways. We grow and our beauty enhances once we get different perspectives in the room and we're doing life together. And so I guess that my charge is, do you all have this in your athletic departments? Do you have this with your student athletes? Are you allowing your student athletes to have the voice to create these type of opportunities for themselves? Because something I learned, I tried to start an organization called We Woke, MKE, had a whole leadership team. But I realized until the students wanted to lead it and back it, it wasn't going to, unless I was going to put in so much more work to provide a platform for them to be activists and to bring about social justice, where we've got to be teaching our young people that their voice matters, which I think will come into us not always overcoaching them. So their voice does matter in all realms. But, I learned a hard lesson on, hey, I got to empower them to want to step up and do it and not just always be in the room. They are equipped and able. They are the change for the present and the future as well. And are we equipping them with the resources to use their own voice, to use their own thought, to make their own decisions, to be the change that we seek? And so just a few solutions. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of groups that you can donate to. But again, I think the first charge is look at yourself, search your heart, hear people, listen to people, sit down, have conversations with people because you care, and then look at your own departments, your own teams. Are you inclusive? And when I say inclusive, are you accepting? Are you understanding the people in the room? I may not always agree. I'm not saying, do you agree? I'm saying, are you listening? Are we on a human-to-human level where you can at least take in what I'm saying? And I know that sounds basic, but it was something that I've been experiencing. Can you at least hear what I'm saying without you already having a defense, already having a solution to my problem that you didn't fully listen to? And you have already moved on before you even realize I'm hurting and I've been hurting. And so are you ready to jump in to this lake of uncomfortability? And are you ready to be comfortable being uncomfortable? And that last thing being said, I'm actually speaking on all of these topics from here on out. I got about 6 opportunities already. So if anyone would like for me to come and break it down, I can talk less or talk more. I have a lot of things that teams are going to be able to do, be hands-on, grow together, athletic departments, coach like head coaches, diversity and inclusion, committees, whatever you need. I'm willing and I'm able to come talk. That's what I feel like God's put on my heart to do right now, is to use my voice, my ability to talk as clearly I can talk, and my vast experiences to help shed light, educate, and empower.
Anya, I think you're doing incredible things. So thank you for your voice and your time. Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we wrap up here?
Love is the answer. And all those that have been affected by injustice, I feel you. You're not alone. but I am going to challenge you to not harbor hate in your heart. Say that 3 times straight. Because then you're only holding yourself back. It's time to forgive. It's time to join with those that may have been in the past a part of the problem. And it's time for us all to come together and be a part of the solution. If you're exhausted, I feel you. But you're in this fight for the long haul. You know, the good word says, don't be worried in well-doing. Your fight for justice is a well-doing. It's a good thing. And it gets exhausting. So get some sleep. But in the next morning, you got to get up and we got to be about this business. For those who say they're colorblind, if you were not diagnosed with being colorblind, you are not. You see my brown skin, it's beautiful. And guess what? Your skin is too. So please don't use that, because when you say you're colorblind, you're ignoring everything. You're ignoring everything. And you're able to use that as an excuse to not acknowledge the current problems. For believers that believe in God, that believe in Jesus Christ, that he died and rose and left his Holy Spirit for us, it is time to be the church outside of the building. It is time to walk in love. If you have racism in your heart and you're a believer, you are wrong. If your doors on Sunday morning aren't open, I know that we're in a pandemic, so if you realize in the past your doors weren't open to everybody, you're wrong. You're not walking in the gospel. You might be preaching it, but what God is looking at is your heart, and your heart is going to be displayed in your actions. The church has been called out for a long time, but now we should be the light at the top of the hill. And we should be shining bright. And we should be the change that we seek. I do believe once believers walk in the change, the world will have a great example on what it should look like. So, yep, I'm calling folks out right now. Answer the call. It's time to answer the call. And I'm excited to walk along this with y'all. Thank you for the opportunity, for allowing me just to speak, honey, okay? Because I was going. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and stay safe and healthy.
You too.
I'm just gonna hit